Oh yes, there will be broken bones. Welcome to my review for Bone Breaker, and just before we start I'd like to point out that this is the 2019 British horror film Bone Breaker we're talking about, and not the 2005 film with the same name. This one's directed by Nicholas Winter and starring Sophie Rebecca Jones, Rachel Bright, Jade Colucci, Lucy Arden and Ian P. Campbell, among others. So where to start with the plot? Well, I guess there are these two YouTubers called Emily and Ruby. That's the best place to start, and they are fitness fanatics who've got millions of subscribers each from their videos. They're also big rivals and they don't really like each other. And one day they are invited to go and do a shoot at this wealthy woman's estate in rural Bedfordshire, Berkshire, somewhere like that. This woman owns about 30 acres of land, or hectares, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a big plot of land. So the two women, Ruby and Emily, agree to put their differences aside and go and do this, and they take with them one cameraman who I believe might be Ruby's normal cameraman, but I'm not sure. And they also take with them another woman who is like a YouTuber just starting out, just to help out on the day. And her name is Rachel, and for her it's a big opportunity working with these two more established internet stars. And actually Rachel is the main protagonist. It's just easy to explain the plot if you start with the Ruby Emily thing. So the four of them travel to wherever this place is, and this landowner, whose name is Grace, it's not long before she reveals her true intentions for inviting everybody down there, which is that she wants to chase them all into the woods and kill them. And she's only going to give them 10 seconds and then she's going to come after them, and that's basically the plot. It's a hide and seek slasher film in the woods, which is fine. So I won't take the plot any further than that. I'll let you discover it for yourself if you decide to watch it. It's sort of refreshing that there's a female killer. There's not many female killers in slasher films, so I guess you'd give the film a point for that. It's kind of weird how the front cover to this has what looks like a man's body dominating the whole poster or the thumbnail, wherever you see this film advertised. It looks like a bloke with just the head missing, dragging a pickaxe along the ground. So I mean, why wouldn't you advertise the fact you have a female killer? It's something original, different, right? Also, because the film's called Bone Breaker, it's sort of implied that this woman Grace is a famous serial killer of like days gone by, the Bone Breaker. They come across the infamous Bone Breaker. That's what it says in the blurb. But she's literally just some woman who's gone cuckoo over the past few weeks, months. And she wouldn't have a reputation, would she? From who? So it's kind of bizarre. She claims that she's already been hunting down quite a few poachers and trespassers since she went nuts. I can only presume she's been burying the bodies and outfoxing the police somehow for a time, if her stories are true. So yeah, make of that what you will. I'd say the biggest plus to this film is the lead performance from Sophie Rebecca Jones as Rachel. She's absolutely terrific and carries the film through its mediocre parts, of which there are many. But no, she has to spend a lot of this film in anguish. Does the character Rachel, and Sophie Rebecca Jones does a fantastic job of doing that convincingly. It's a really, really good performance. But there are lots of negative aspects to the film, I'm afraid. There's not too much that's positive. This is mostly a subpar horror film. It's only 74 minutes long, which is kind of strange. I don't think there's a big budget. I looked online for some reviews for this film and stumbled across a few other weird things. I found a couple of claims on the budget. I think one of them was 350 grand and the other one was 425 grand. Not a lot of money for any kind of film, really. So I'm guessing the short runtime is literally because they just had to film what they could. I mean, after the final confrontation is done in this film, I won't say how it ends, but after the final confrontation is finished, we literally cut to the credits with no epilogue. It's such a film that needs an epilogue, and we don't get it. It's kind of weird. It's like the director's like, right, cut, come on, pack up, we're done now. Yeah, that was the final bit. So, yeah, it is a short film. Um, I mean, it's very competently directed and filmed. It feels like they know what they're doing when they're doing the sort of chases and action, and everything flows well from scene to scene. It's just not that exciting on the whole. And in the dialogue and script, it does feel like the sort of amateurish nature of the whole thing shines through a little bit. Like the character, I think it's Ruby, the blonde woman, she's like the bitchy character. It just doesn't feel appropriate that character would behave the way that she does in the beginning of the film, because she behaves really badly in the build up to the realization that they're all in trouble. Before the crap hits the fan, she behaves really badly towards the other members of the group, but it just feels a bit out of place. Like maybe this was something that seemed like a good idea in the script writing process, but then when they're setting up the scenes and actually doing the scenes, it just no longer seems appropriate for that situation. And there's one little back and forth between Emily and Ruby near this car where they have this argument, and it feels more like a rehearsal for dialogue, or two actors experimenting with some dialogue to see if it works, rather than an actual finished scene. It's kind of odd. So yeah, I'd say this director is better on the technical side of what he's doing, rather than probably just needs to do a little bit more with the script. Although I suppose if you've only got 74 minutes to squeeze in a story, it's not that easy to do, you know. There's a reason why a lot of horror films do get to sort of 90 minutes, 95 minutes. So on the whole, I'd say it's a pretty subpar film. I'm only going to give it 2 bloody axes out of 5, and I might have even given it a little bit less, but for the performance of the lead actress, who could be very, very good if she gets some better roles. So, oh, and one more thing I found on the internet. I just randomly came across like a casting sheet note that said director Nicholas Winter is looking to now hire someone for the role of Emily. The pay is £125 a day. I thought, seriously? When it's like, you know, a budget with 400 grand, and they're just paying the actors £125 a day. That's bizarre. I mean, I can't imagine that they were filming in those woods for like more than a couple of weeks. I just can't picture it. So did the main actors in this film just make like 2 or 3 grand for the movie? Is that a normal thing for films at this level? It sort of brings it home that, you know, just because you see people acting in movies, it doesn't always mean that they're sort of extremely well off and doing brilliantly. A lot of these films are just stepping stones for these actors, and a lot of the time. So yeah, that really kind of brought it home to me. So on the whole, I can't recommend the film really, although by all means give it a try if you see it on a streaming platform and it's free. I found it on Amazon Prime, so, you know, nothing to lose. You might enjoy the film more than I did. So 2 out of 5, and I guess that's that. So until next time, cheerio.